What if I told you that cutting off China could actually cripple the U.S. economy, not strengthen it? Sounds crazy, right? But welcome to 2025, where reality is stranger than fiction, and the American economy is starting to realize that ghosting China might have been the worst breakup decision since, well, Blockbuster ignoring Netflix. For years, politicians strutted around yelling, "We don't need China," like a teenager declaring independence after doing one load of laundry. But now it's 2025, and guess who's calling China at 3 a.m., whispering, "Hey, can we talk?" Let's play a game. Name 3 things in your house that aren't made in China. Go ahead, I'll wait. Your phone. Made in China. Your toothbrush. China. The ibuprofen you just took to deal with economic anxiety. Yep. Also China. In 2025, the average American household is still powered by Chinese manufacturing. It's not just about cheap gadgets anymore, it's about survival. Roughly 80% of generic pharmaceuticals come from Chinese factories. That little white allergy pill. Straight from a plant in Guangzhou. 70% of electronics components, semiconductors, and even packaging materials used in U.S. companies are still directly or indirectly tied to Chinese supply chains. And no, relocating factories to Vietnam didn't fix it, they just moved the final assembly, while the core components still cross the South China Sea. America's decoupling plan is kind of like trying to remove chocolate chips from a baked cookie. Spoiler alert, you just end up with a crumbled mess. Ah yes, the legendary decoupling. A policy that sounded great on a podium and terrible in a spreadsheet. Between 2018 and 2022, the idea gained traction like a reality TV reboot, loud, dramatic, and mostly based on emotional baggage. Fast forward to 2025, and the results are in. The U.S. didn't so much decouple from China as it accidentally unplugged its own life support. Major corporations like Apple, Tesla, and even, drum roll, Walmart, realized that moving supply chains is like trying to rebuild IKEA furniture with missing screws and a broken Allen key. What's worse? Prices. Americans in 2025 now pay 23% more on average for electronics, 17% more for basic medicines, and, bizarrely, $89 for a toaster that still burns bagels. Decoupling also turned the U.S. economy into a series of awkward first dates with new manufacturing partners. Hi, India. You free to make 1.2 billion microchips. Sorry, bro, busy making our own. In 2025, China doesn't need to invade anything. All it needs to do is stop shipping microchips, antibiotics, rare earth metals, solar panels, lithium-ion batteries, you name it. America's economic engine runs on parts made in China, and guess who controls the faucet? Let's break this down. 90% of rare earth elements come from China. You want to build wind turbines, defense systems, or just play Call of Duty on your console? You're going to need those. 80% of global lithium refining happens in China. Without it, EVs become very expensive golf carts. Over 95% of generic antibiotics and painkillers in U.S. hospitals come from factories in, you guessed it, China. Need a new EV battery? Sorry, those lithium processors are on a national priority list. Trying to buy generic antibiotics? China just redirected them to domestic use. What makes this scary isn't just the dominance, it's the timing. In 2025, supply chains are already stretched thin. One hiccup. The whole system catches a cold. If China sneezes, the U.S. gets pneumonia. And no, we can't treat it. We're out of meds. Here's the plot twist. While the U.S. tried to ghost China, Beijing spent the last 5 years upgrading. Like, glow up level 9000. By 2025, China dominates in AI research, electric vehicles, and, here's the kicker, chip manufacturing. That's right. The same chips the US said it didn't need. China's now selling to Europe, South America, and, you guessed it, quietly back to the US via third parties. Meanwhile, American universities struggle to train enough engineers, since the best and brightest are busy making TikToks about student debt. U.S. factories face labor shortages, rising costs, and a disturbing over-reliance on patriotic branding instead of actual supply chain resilience. So while Beijing plays 4D chess, Washington still trying to figure out how to win Monopoly without the banker. You ever chase someone for so long, only to realize they're not that into you? That's 2025 U.S. foreign policy in a nutshell. While America spent years flexing tariffs like a gym bro showing off leg day, China quietly built its own squad. BRICS Plus now includes countries like Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, and Nigeria, all happily buying Chinese tech, driving BYD cars, and watching state-backed TikTok clones. The U.S., meanwhile, sends trade delegations to Beijing that get politely declined in favor of internal meetings. Translation: we're busy doing cool things without you. China's Belt and Road 2.0 expands across Africa and Latin America, creating new dependencies, influence, and, crucially, exit ramps from reliance on the West. So no, China's not begging to come back. It's sipping green tea on the balcony, watching America realize it might not be the main character after all. By 2025, the U.S. had talked a lot about reshoring. You know, bringing factories back, producing chips at home, all that jazz. Politicians held press conferences in hard hats. There were slogans like, "Build Back Better," and "Made in America Again." But here's the punchline: talking is not building. Intel's much-hyped chip plant in Ohio. Still delayed by zoning issues and a mysterious lack of plumbers. TSMC Arizona. A beautiful skeleton surrounded by cactus and paperwork. Meanwhile, China launched 3 new fabs, operational now, with full AI-driven automation. And just to spice things up, they introduced export restrictions on AI chips and advanced tooling to strategic adversaries. Guess who qualifies as a strategic adversary in 2025? That's right. Uncle Sam. So while America was holding ribbon cuttings, China was building factories. While Congress debated chip subsidies, Beijing handed them out like Oprah: you get a fab. You get a fab. Now, the U.S. is stuck in a game of catch-up, with the timer already running out. Once the supply shock hits, the U.S. tries to patch things up. Trade delegates fly to Beijing with smiles and spreadsheets. But China's response is cold and calculated: we'll review your request. Please wait 90 business days. Meanwhile, BRICS Plus nations, now including Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and even Argentina, step in to absorb the vacuum left by the U.S. They get preferential trade deals, 5G infrastructure, and Belt and Road loans with interest rates lower than a TikTok attention span. Suddenly, even old U.S. allies are hedging their bets. Europe issues neutral statements. Canada shrugs. Mexico signs a bilateral deal with Beijing. America just got ghosted by the global economy. And it's not just goods. China starts tightening access to key platforms, Chinese cloud infrastructure, fintech services, and even cross-border logistics tech. Remember Alibaba Cloud? Gone. Remember instant customs clearance on key imports? Not anymore. In this new reality, America isn't just isolated. It's outdated. In the midst of America's desperate attempt to untangle itself from Chinese dependency, Trump re-emerges on the national stage like a sitcom character returning in the final season. Only now, he's broadcasting daily from Mar-a-Lago studios, sponsored by Freedom Fries and the ghost of Ronald Reagan. The banner reads, "China bad. Chips good." Trump announces a new initiative, MEGA, Make Intel Great Again. He says it'll bring back American tech supremacy, restore chip-making to Nebraska, and make semiconductors sexy again. We used to make the best chips. Tremendous chips. Not just potato, micro too. Now. We're begging the Chinese. Sad. His plan involves the following. A $3 trillion Freedom Silicon stimulus funded by tariffs on imported K-pop merchandise. A mandate that all iPhones sold in America must contain at least 50% bald eagle imagery. Elon Musk being named Secretary of Everything. He also claims he personally invented 5G years before the Chinese, but the media buried the story. Naturally, social media explodes. TikTok influencers make mashups of Trump saying China with EDM drops. Gen Z prints ironic MEGA shirts. Truth Social spikes in traffic after Trump posts a selfie with a silicon wafer captioned, "This is smarter than Biden." Meanwhile, Trump's press secretary, his son-in-law's second cousin, a former golf cart salesman, holds daily briefings with slides like Supply chain, China stole it. Solution, build wall, but for boats. Intel CEO fired. Replaced by Mike Lindell. The climax. Trump declares Chip Independence Day on July 4th, featuring fireworks, a semiconductor parade, and Kid Rock performing a new anthem, Born in the Fab Lab. Global reaction. Confused. China responds by calmly launching another AI-controlled megafactory in Africa. America. Still waiting for the first chip shipment from Kansas. It's delayed, due to a shortage of screws, made in Chengdu. So here we are. 2025, a world where cutting off China isn't the flex it used to be, it's a potential economic faceplant. The real question isn't, can the US survive without China? It's, can it survive if China decides to move on for good? Because in a global economy, breaking up with your biggest trade partner is less taking control, and more like burning your kitchen because you didn't like the oven. It's time for the US to rethink not just how it competes, but who it's actually competing against. Spoiler, it might be its own overconfidence. But hey, at least we still make peanut butter. Oh wait. Imported peanuts. Never mind.